mulakan majlis kita dengan umur kitab Al-Fatihah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Iya kan.
Okey, amin amin ya rabbil alamin. Okey, sebab saya dah sediakan teks ni. Sebab in case kalau ada international student kan. Okey, so tanpa membuang masa lagi, sebelum itu saya memperkenalkan. Ni saya in English lah ya. Okay, so I proceed to introduce our beloved speaker today. Okay, Professor Dr. Hamid Jan. Okay, he was born on 30 September 1976 in Selangor. He received his first diploma in medical laboratory technology from USM. In 2000, he then received his degree in nutrition and community health from University Putra Malaysia. Obviously, he is my super senior. Okay, later he completed his master in nutrition from UKM and PhD from University of London, UK. He also received his academic certification from King's College London. Okay, he expertise is in nutrition on maternal and child health. He has supervised many masters and PhD students. Usually, his students' quota for supervision reach its maximum limits. Because on that, he has numerous publications and received a lot of research grants locally and internationally. What I can say that he is one of USM anak mas because he bring money to USM. Okay, and then he is a fellow of Nutrition University of Malaysia. He also have been invited as a speaker to share his knowledge from many organizations. He is now currently working as a senior lecturer in nutrition program at PPSK USM. So without further ado, let's welcome Professor Dr. Hamid Jan bin Jan Mohamed, also my supervisor actually, to share some of their nutrition knowledge on tips that we can apply in this month of Ramadan. Over to you, Prof.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon to everyone. Good morning to Safina, all the way from Pakistan. I think it's almost
Thank you,
morning. Yes, thank you for tuning in. With your presence, we will be conducting this, I won't say this very serious lecture, just chit-chat about Ramadan and food and fasting, okay? I just want to share my slide. My slide will be in Bahasa Malaysia because I think this is my previous lecture slide, but I was not able to update it for this session, but I think the content will remain the same. So I reckon it is still applicable for our discussion today. Okay, second. Okay, so throughout this lecture, I would say I will give some tips. Some of you are all well aware about these tips, especially if you're coming from nutrition or dietetic background. But for those who are not in this area, I think this session will be more, useful for your fasting and diet. So we all know Ramadan is here. During Ramadan, there are two important events that normally happen. The first is the increase in our ibadah, increase in the type and number of prayers that we normally do, particularly with the practice of doing the Tarawih prayer at night. Some mosques in Malaysia, they do 8 rakaat. Some they do up until 20 rakaat. So it all depend on the mosque over here. 18 rakaat, some of them. So it's all depend on the mosque. But on top of that ibadah that we normally do during Ramadan, another event that is very, very common, which is associated with Ramadan, is food. Because this is a very special month where the Muslims, unless if you are sick or pregnant or traveling, are not allowed to eat and drink. Okay, and fasting is not only present in the Islam. Other religions also have fasting elements in their religion, but their method is different. I can give like some Hindus, they have fasting, but then they are allowed to drink milk, for example, in the day. So it is a bit different compared to our Muslim fasting. And when you talk about fasting in Malaysia, we fast for almost 13 hours. So this is quite a long period. When I first stepped down in London for my PhD, it was back in year 2002 in December. 2002 December is a winter in the UK, and during winter, for four-season country, the amount of daylight is low. So I had the opportunity to have my sahur at around 6 a.m. and my iftar at 2 p.m. Sounds a bit crazy. It's like you're having your lunch and breakfast in an usual day. But this is what happened when you are in a winter season. However, if you are in the UK now, or probably 2-3 years ago, the Ramadan falls in summer, and summer is crazy over there. You are fasting up until 18 hours because of the daylight is longer compared to winter. So we should be counting our blessing, because in Malaysia, I think 13 hours is basically an average amount of period for us to be fasting. So for this session, I will divide the session to Sahur and also Iftar. Okay. For Sahur, we all know that it is highly recommended for us to delay our Sahur, not to take it too early. There are some people, they take Sahur before they go to bed, for example, at 1 a.m., and they declare that as Sahur. I think in Islam, that is not considered as Sahur. Okay. Sahur is a food that is taken before the Fajar Azan. Okay, that is Sahur. The main purpose of Sahur is, one second. The main purpose of Sahur is basically to give you the energy. And one mistake that most people do, especially the young people, is they take Sahur in hurry. For example, you wake up too late, and for example, you have about 10 minutes and you have nasi goreng on your table, and you try to basically shuffle all the nasi goreng in 10 minutes. Okay, and that will make you not chew the food properly. That may cause indigestion. Okay, one common problem during fasting is indigestion, especially when you are taking your sahur in a very quick period. And indigestion will cause some discomfort of the stomach, bloating, and etc. And this is what we don't want. We want our Ramadan to have zero tragedy. Zero tragedy means you do not get sick due to the food during Ramadan. So try to avoid that. Eating together with family will improve your appetite, okay, and it will improve your make you better in terms of eating. And three type of food that I would highly not recommend to be taken during sahur is number one, food which is pedas. Pedas mean very spicy. Food which are soury or masam, or food that is too hot. Okay, panas. Okay, I'm teaching LKM 400 at the same time, so that's good for others. So these three type of food you should not take. Why? Because these three type of food will trigger what we call gastric reflux. Gastric reflux. If you all learn the human stomach anatomy, we have two sphincter muscle. One at the top of the stomach, which is at the entry. One is at the bottom of the stomach, which is at the exit of the stomach. When we eat these three types of food, what will happen is the sphincter muscle at the entry of the food into the stomach will become loose. So when the muscle of the sphincter muscle is loose, it will cause food content in the stomach, which is highly acidic due to the hydrochloric acid, reverse and enter your esophagus area. And in Malaysia, we call it pedih ulu hati. Okay, pedih ulu hati, where somewhere in this part of your body, you will feel burning sensation. And fasting in this kind of condition is really, really tough. Okay, because you are fasting and then you have this burning sensation. You cannot take Gaviscon or medicine at that during the day, and you have to suffer through the whole day. And when Maghrib Azan comes, then you are allowed to take the medicine. So these three food will trigger the weakening of the sphincter muscle of the stomach and cause gastric reflux. Try to avoid that. And the other part is water. Okay, during Sahoo, not only during Sahoo, actually, throughout the night, you should take water. Not having enough water will lead to constipation. On top of gastric reflux, another problem during Ramadan is constipation. Not sure that you have experienced this, but I personally, if I do not drink enough water during the night, I can be having constipation. And this is something, very uncomfortable. Sitting in the toilet, singing this Frozen song, let it go, hoping that, the thing goes out very quickly so that you can do other work. But ending up in the toilet for so long is really not productive, especially for PhD students or master students. Okay, so how or what are the tips to make sure that we always we prevent constipation? There are two keys of constipation prevention during Ramadan. The first key is water. The second key is the fiber intake. So I will focus on the water at this slide, and I will talk about fiber in the other slide. Especially elderly, our parents, I think they do not really a big fan of water during the night because they do not like to go to the toilet, especially when the imam is reading the Tarawih. They feel that that is a nuisance, that is a disturbance of their ibadah. But like it or not, whether you are young or you are old, you must drink at least 8 glasses of water during the night and in the morning. How to do that? The strategy is simple. During the Azan, Maghrib Azan, drink 1 glass of water. After the Maghrib prayer, 1 glass of water. Before the Isha prayer, 1 more glass of water. After Isha prayer, 1 more glass of water. And along the Tarawih prayer, bring what I call a bottle, bring 1 bottle of water, and make sure during the Tarawih prayer you take 1 or 2 sips of water so that you are hydrated and you achieve the 8. After Tarawih, before you go to bed, drink 1 more glass of water. When you wake up in the middle of the night, drink 1 more glass of water. When you wake up for Sahor, drink 1 more glass of water. And the best thing about Sahor is you don't just wake up to eat. That is not really, really good. Sahor, you should plan early, sleep early, wake up a bit more early, take your wudu, pray 2 rakaat of tahajjud. Okay, before your 2 rakaat of tahajjud, drink 1 glass of water. And after you completed your tahajjud, you go for your sahur, then you drink 1 more glass of water. By doing this, frequently taking water in a small amount throughout the night and until the morning, you will be able to prevent constipation, and at the same time, you will be able to prevent dehydration. Dehydration is very harmful, especially among elderly and children, because dehydration will reduce or will make your immune system weak. And when your immune system is weak, it is highly prone for upper respiratory tract infection, which is what we call in Malaysia sakit tekak, batuk, demam. Okay, so this is another tragedy that we want to avoid during fasting, during Ramadan. So we don't want to have constipation, we don't want to have burning, heartburn due to gastric, and we don't want to have infectious disease to come into our body due to dehydration. So I'll stop there for Sahor. Next, I want to focus on this. Whether you are taking Sahor or you are taking iftar, you must make sure you follow this rule of guideline set by the Ministry of Health Malaysia. What we call is quarter, half plate, or my healthy plate. Okay. Whenever you eat, some people, especially in the public, they have problem to understand the food pyramid. They have problem to relate how to eat healthily by following the food pyramid. Some will take a plate and they pile food like a pyramid and they say, oh, voila, this is my Malaysian food pyramid, which is wrong because you can see it's all carbohydrate and big amount of protein, which is unhealthy. The Healthy Malaysia plate was developed particularly to prevent chronic disease, but looking at Malaysia, where more than 50% of our Malaysian population are obese and overweight, I think it is high time that we all, whether you are healthy or sick, you should follow the Malaysian healthy plate, which is simple. You divide your plate into 3 parts. 1/4 of your plate, you put carbohydrate type of food, which is your rice, noodle, bread, or anything. Another quarter, you put your protein-rich food like the fish, chicken, egg, and etc. And half of the plate, it should be made of vegetables and fruits. By eating this during Sahur and Iftar, you are able to first eat in moderation, to eat in balance, and number 3, you are able to add fiber into your diet, where fiber will be able to help you to prevent constipation together with the intake of water. So make sure during iftar and during a sahur, your plate look like this so that you are able to get enough amount of balanced nutrient from your diet. When you take the vegetables, make sure they are colorful, they have a variety, because vegetables are very special. On top of vitamin and mineral, it has high amount of phytonutrient, which are very, very good as antioxidant to prevent chronic diseases. So each colors that we have on fruit and vegetables has unique phytonutrients. So you should try to capture that in your diet. Okay. And you should also have a variety of fruit. Don't just eat banana every day. Okay. Try to have banana, apple, orange, rambutan, or mangoes, or anything that you can. Watermelon, wintermelon, or anything, so that each of these fruit will give you different nutrients. Now let's move to iftar or berbuka puasa. As I said, in our religion, it is highly recommended for you to break fast once you heard the azan. Do not delay after you heard the Maghrib azan. And it is a sunnah to break fast with dates and plain water, and do not eat a big portion immediately after the Maghrib Azan. I have a study done by my PhD student, Dr. Haidar. He is in the University of Sharjah, Emirates. He did a very interesting study about breakfast. during Ramadan. What he did was he put this continuous glucose monitor, which is a round 50-cent like button. He put that on the skin of the participants, and he monitored the glucose level every 30 minutes using this device without pricking the finger for blood. So this device has a sensor underneath of our skin. It will keep on reading our glucose level. Interestingly, in his study, he showed that in the morning after Sahor, the glucose level was high, and as the day goes by, the glucose level decreases, and until Maghrib, he can see in his participants the glucose level rocket very fast. It's like a rocket, glucose spike, we call it. And after the spiking of the glucose, you can see a drop in the sugar level. And in terms of nutrition, we call it a high glycemic spike. Whereas this is normally happen when you take unhealthy food. What he found was in his study that his participants, they eat a big portion of food immediately after the Maghrib Azan. This is not recommended because it will lead to hyperinsulinemia, and hyperinsulinemia is not good because it will cause more hunger prang into your body. I could not share the glycemic index graph in here, but if you have time later, please Google glycemic index graph. You will see how the glucose spike and the insulin also will spike, and overflooding of insulin will cause another hunger prang in the body. In Malaysia, I'm not sure in other country, in Malaysia, we see people eating if the dates, sweet drink, juice, sugarcane juice, any juice, sweetened juice, and rice, all in one go before they go for the Maghrib prayer. If you do that, you will have a spike just like what was reported in the study. The healthy way of breaking fast is this. Please pay attention. The healthy way is this. You hear the Maghrib Azan, you eat the dates, you drink plain water, and if you feel tempted of the desserts, sometime in Malaysia, they do serve a lot of kuih akor, kuih onde-onde, gula melaka and everything. Well, to make sure you pray khusyuk in your Maghrib, I will allow you to take 1 or 2 bites of the dessert, okay, or the kuih. Stop there, go for your Maghrib prayer, which is about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you come back. Then you go for your bigger meal. If you have like rice or noodle or bread, then you do that. Even that, you do not take a big portion. Probably take half portion, so that you can pray Isha and Tarawih in a more proper way, so that you can bend your body properly, not having stomach blocking during the prayer. Okay, not overeating and sleepiness, which will affect your ibadah. Not overeating during even after the Maghrib prayer, so that your glucose do not spike. So just eat a bit of portion. Make sure you still have some empty space inside your stomach. Stop. Go for your Isha. Go for your Maghrib. Drink a lot of water throughout that Isha and Maghrib. Then you come back to the dining table and you take another small portion. Probably you continue eating whatever you have left from the Maghrib before the Isha prayer. By doing this, you are actually preventing hyperinsulinemia, you are preventing hyperglycemia. And the way that the graph of your body sugar goes up is, it goes up like ladder, ladder, not like rocket. It goes up like stairs, tangga. Okay, it go up and go flat, go up a bit and flat, go up a bit and flat. This is how iftar should be eaten. It needs a lot of sacrifice. It needs a lot of, a fight with the desire to eat. Because the culture in Malaysia, if you are with family, they will put everything on the table. until there is no more space on the table, and you are tested not to eat the whole lot after the Maghrib Azan while you are very hungry. If you can beat that, then you are very successful in terms of fasting and also breaking the fast. So a small portion. And the problem with Malaysia, again, I'm not sure of you in other country. Another problem in Malaysia is we eat a lot of sweet desserts during iftar. And I give you one example. Okay, kuih akok is our traditional kuih in Kelantan. If you one kuih akok will give you about 60 calories because it made of sugar, egg, and some oil. Okay, about 60, and with some flour. Okay, 60 calories per kuih akok. And normally people will take 3 or 4 kuih akok during iftar. Let's say you take 4 kuih akok, which is already 240 calories, and which is almost like half of a plate that you are eating. And even you didn't stop that. After eating 4 pieces of kuih akok, you started to eat your biryani rice or fried rice or anything, which is about 500 calories. This is where the mistake happens, because you eat kuih akok and you eat the rice together before you go for your Maghrib prayer. Okay, that is hypercalorie. Okay, have to be careful with that. So I think that's about the iftar. Let me see if I have this on the other side. No. Another thing during iftar is you are challenged by Bazaar Ramadan and Buffet Ramadan. I will talk about Buffet Ramadan first. I am an anti person of Ramadan buffet, because even I wrote a paper or a journal article in the Journal of Fasting. There is a journal called Journal of Fasting. I'm one of the guest editor for this journal. It is started by my friend in Iran. We studied together in London, and then he worked in Iran in Mashhad University, and he started this journal, and I contributed one article in that journal about Buffet Ramadan and Bazaar Ramadan. I am a very, I totally against Buffet Ramadan, because I think it kills the spirit of Ramadan. The spirit of Ramadan is about moderation, it's about eating less, giving more food to the others, especially who are in need of food, who are hungry, the orphan and the poor. It's not for you to whack a 100 ringgit or 150 ringgit to pay 150 ringgit just for iftar. It is ridiculous. I am totally against. I will not go for Buffet Ramadan even if I have the money. And if I've been invited by someone to go for Buffet Ramadan, for the sake of relationship, I will go, but I will still eat like I have mentioned just now. Eating by stopping, not by following your desire to eat everything in a go. Okay, so you have to be careful. I want to move to, I think not many of us goes to Buffet Ramadan, but we do go for Ramadan Bazaar. Ramadan Bazaar is a killer. Okay, you imagine yourself fasting for 13 hours in a state of hypoglycemia, in the state of hungry. 1 hour before Maghrib Azan, you walk to a Bazaar Ramadan where there are hundreds of different type of foods and drinks served in front of you. That will turn you into a wolf. You will no longer be a human. You will become a wolf. Why I say wolf? Because your mind, your cognition, intelligence is low, your desire is high, and your emotion is high. Because when you are hungry, you will be angry, you will become excited whenever you see food. And what will happen is we will buy as much as we want from the Ramadan Bazaar, because our decision was driven by our desire, not by our intelligence at that time. This is proven by science, that our brain and our gut is connected by nerves, okay? And the detector is brain sensor. So when your brain detects low glucose, it will send signal to the stomach for the stomach to start finding food. So it will send a message to the stomach, go and find food. And this is by triggering hungry more. All the juices will come out from your stomach, the digestion juice. Even by looking at the food in the Ramadan bazaar, the juices will be flooding inside your stomach and telling you to buy this and buy that. Well, being a human, we are all human. We have to fight with our nafs, with our desire. Sometimes we lose. So we buy ayam percik, fried noodle, with grilled chicken, so many things, murtabak, akor, all those things, 7 types of drinking juices, 7 colors of juices you put all on your table. Okay, brilliant. You have now your table full of food that you buy from the Ramadan bazaar. Maghrib azan comes, you break your fast with dates. Dates is a superfood which is packed with glucose. Okay, once you put dates inside your mouth and you chew the dates, and it will be digested, and the glucose will be immediately absorbed into your body, then the brain will detect the glucose is okay, the glucose is normalized. It will send the satiety, it will inhibit your satiety. You will not feel hungry, you will not have the appetite, and the satiety will stop, the appetite will be cut, and you will not have more appetite on the food that you have bought from the Bazaar Ramadan. Why? Because the level of your appetite is controlled by the glucose. So the dates has already sent a message to your brain to tell you that, okay, you had enough, you have to stop now. And when you taste the food on the table, you can see that it tastes not the same like how you have predicted it to be or expected the food to be during the Ramadan bazaar. This is human, the food regulation control of our body. The brain and the gut is communicating to control your appetite. So when you are not able to finish the food, what will happen? 2 possibilities. One, you will either put it into these boxes or container, and then you put in the fridge and you forget. After 1 week, you decided to throw away because it doesn't look more interesting. Number 2, you will immediately chuck the food into the bin and you will throw away the food. This is not the spirit of Ramadan when it comes to nutrition. And in Kelantan, the council, which is responsible in collecting the household garbages, has published a data that shows that during Ramadan, the amount of organic food garbage from household increased significantly. That is telling us that we are not appreciating food during Ramadan, and we are wasting food. And how you expect God to give you all the reward of Ramadan? Because you are fasting in the day, but you are wasting at night. Fasting in the day and wasting food at night by throwing away unfinished food, which is still good to eat, but you decided to throw it away because you are not able to eat anymore. This is very, 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 very wrong. We are not supposed to celebrate Ramadan this way. Ramadan is a month of moderation, is a month of self-reflection, that we should reflect our behavior, our attitude, our ability to control the desire of eating and wasting money and etc. Is a month for the poor people where food should be given, not should be whacked every day during Maghrib time. So I want to remind myself, I want to remind everyone here that try not to feast during iftar. You know, feasting atau berpesta. Okay, Ramadan is not food festa. Okay, we are not supposed to look at Ramadan that way. Okay, we should not feasting food during Ramadan. Just eat food as your normal diet. This is how I always remind myself and my family members. There is no special thing related to food when it comes to Ramadan. But some of us, we always feel that I have fasted in the day and I should get something very special at night. No, you do not have the right to say that. Because if you've been eating white rice with a fried chicken, with some vegetable soup or curry, or with some fruit during the non-Ramadan month, this is how you should be eating during the Ramadan month as well. By doing so, you are moving yourself away from being a person who is feasting during Ramadan. I know it's not easy to be done, but this is how it should be done. I'll skip more. I'll just focus about cholet, and I won't show you this very long because I know everybody is fasting. This will make your life miserable. I'll just move away and talk about cholet. In Malaysia, in Kelantan, cholet is a culture where deep fried flour type of food is cut into small pieces with some chicken, with some seafood, and with some gravy, sweet sauce, and it is eaten at night, late night. Again, this is culture. Okay, culture, not religion. Okay, is a culture, is not religion. None of our religion says that you must eat cholet before you go to bed. This culture only exists during Ramadan in Kelantan, and I highly advise try not to fall into this culture. Okay, because it is unhealthy. It's a deep fried food. And before I finish, I just want to give one message about food safety. Okay, it's very important. We don't want to have a tragedy during Ramadan. Tragedy means not being able to eat because you fall sick or you get food poisoning. So when you are served with food, try to look at the sign of spoiled food, like it become watery, bubbly, okay, bubbles, change in color, expired date, okay, broken packaging, something like that. Try to avoid that. If it has some off flavor or off smell, you should try to avoid that as well. Okay. So I think that's all that I want to share with you. I know 99% of what I have said, you are all well aware about. And then you are science student, you are scientists, some of them are nutrition background. I reckon that you all know what I've been talking about. Okay, but this session is just to remind everyone, including myself again, that this is our 5th day of Ramadan. Try to reflect how have you celebrated your Ramadan. And if you think that you have done a lot of Ramadan feasting or food feasting, try to tone down a bit, trying to be a bit more humble in terms of what you've been serving and eating during the Ramadan month. And if you feel you have not done enough by giving away food to the needy, try to change it starting from today. Give more and eat less. I think that is my last message when it comes to eating during Ramadan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Such a very informative. Yeah. And then the message that I get from this sharing, first buffet Ramadan. Okay, buffet Ramadan kills the spirit of the Ramadan, and Bazaar Ramadan is the killer. So we have to make sure we stay alive after the Ramadan. Okay, so any question from the floor? Okay, I have a question. First, how to refrain ourselves from buying a lot of food at Bazaar Ramadan?
How to?
Refrain ourselves, tahan diri from buying food.
You should follow my step. Don't go to Bazaar Ramadan.
Okay, so don't go to Bazaar Ramadan, yeah?
Yeah, I will avoid stepping my foot in Bazaar Ramadan because I don't want to really buy unless like sometime my children they say they want to eat murtabak. Okay, so let's say there is a special request. So my child said, I feel to eat murtabak for iftar. Okay, then I will just go. I will not go to Bazaar Ramadan. I will buy along the street. Okay, because you can still buy some food along the street where you just stop your car, you grab the food and you drive away. So that will prevent you from buying many other food because I think sometimes our family members they do have some special request, so we have to entertain that. But we make sure like when they eat murtabak, then I will tell them that you do not need to eat other things because this is sufficient enough. So educating our family members while eating is some way to improve. But as I said, stepping into Bazaar Ramadan is something that we should not do unless you have enough iman to follow the checklist. You know, for example, you say today I'm going to buy ayam percik and guava juice, for example. Then you go into the Bazaar Ramadan, you just buy these two things, and you come out, it's like coming out from a war zone. And if you are successful, you can be proud of self. But if you feel that you are someone who cannot follow the checklist religiously, then try not to enter the danger zone, I would say.
Okay, so my second question, does sleep after sahur affect the digestion process?
Okay, sleeping after sahur. Well, I don't think there is a very clear study showing any harmful effect of sleeping after sahur. But I would say that I know some of us are staying late night to do prayers and other things, and definitely after you had your sahur, you will be sleepy. But I think the best thing is not to sleep immediately after sahur. At least give your body 1 to 2 hours after you eat. For example, you had your sahur, you go for your Fajar prayer and try to do zikir and read some verses of Quran. And after that, you go to bed, not immediately after the prayer. I know when I can see like some people immediately after the Fajar prayer, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, with the telekung, with the everything fall, like collapse on the prayer mat, like, coma, food coma or anything. I think that is not supposed to happen. Try to avoid that.
Okay, so the last question, do you recommend people drink coffee during sahur?
Okay. Thanks, Shafa, for highlighting this. I think this is a question to me. Okay. And I should respond honestly. Let me tell you my honest response. All my students know I'm a coffee person. I drink 3 to 4 cups of coffee or mugs of coffee per day. That is Hamid Jan. But when it comes to Ramadan, I will not drink coffee. Even during iftar or during sahur, I will not drink coffee because we all know coffee contains caffeine, and caffeine is a diuretic agent and it causes you to lose a lot of water. And we do not want to do that happen during Ramadan. So I will stop drinking coffee during Ramadan. I will change it with warm milk or tea. I think I am okay with tea because I can see if I drink tea, I don't go to the toilet very often. But if I drink coffee, I have to go more often to the toilet. So prevent or avoid drinking not only coffee, but I would say caffeinated beverages, in coffee, including Coca-Cola or any. These are caffeinated beverages that we should try to avoid.
Okay, so the others, anyone have question to Prof? Ada soalan? No, no question. So everyone okay?
Yeah, I know it's
everyone,
not easy to listen to Hamid Jan at 4 o'clock in the evening during Ramadan, but I hope that we have learned. Okay, thank you. So Shafa, last word.
okay, so thank you, Prof, for a very, very, very informative and very, I think there's a new information to me. So, okay, about tips during fasting during Ramadan. And then, so I think there's a no question from the applause now. Okay, so we can end our session with tasbih
Tak ambil
istighfarah and
gambar.
surat.
So
Gambar.
anyone, if you are comfortable, if not, it's okay.
Can turn on your camera. Okay, please turn on your camera.
During the COVID, we live to learn to talk to people who we don't know. So at least we can see who are there on the other side.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay,
Okay,
Prof. That's all. Thank you, Prof, so much.
thank you very much.
So see you in maybe Adifitri.
Okay, in Aidilfitri, no, I'll see you Sunday. I'll
Okay,
see you
Prof.
on
Okay, all right.
Sunday. Okay, bye-bye everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for coming and listening.
Okay, thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof.